And a Detroit rap group known as the Insane Clown Posse has filed a lawsuit against the Justice Department and the FBI. If that sounds a bit strange, it gets even stranger, because this is all a response to how the FBI has categorized the rap duo's followers. In this case, their followers, known as Juggalos, have been designated gang members. FBI analysts concluded that the followers were a, quote, loosely organized hybrid gang. And this is all based on law enforcement and media reports of crimes committed by people wearing Juggalo tattoos and clothing. In the complaint filed just yesterday, the Clown Posse and 4 fans have said that, quote, Juggalos are a family of people who love and help one another, enjoy one another's company, and bond over the music and a philosophy of life. Organized crime is by no means part of the Juggalo culture. Here's what one of the Insane Clown Posse band members, Violent J, had to say about the case.
Discrimination based on the type of music a person listens to is flat out ridiculous and un-American bull. The FBI's gang designation has caused real lasting harm to the lives of the Juggalos. Parents have lost custody of their kids. They've been fired from jobs. They've been denied housing. They've been subjected to illegal searches and sometimes added to a gang database simply for walking down the street wearing an ICP t-shirt.
To break down this case and what it means going forward, I was joined earlier by one of the lawyers representing the plaintiffs on this case, Saura Sahu. He's a partner at Miller Canfield and cooperating with the Michigan ACLU on this. I first asked him why the FBI designated the Juggalos a gang.
Well, you know, the FBI as well as the other agencies within the DOJ have a tough job across the country in terms of trying to identify real gangs and deal with real gang problems. And a lot of those gangs are the kind of gangs that you would think of, like the Bloods, the Crips, gangs like that. They're sort of common knowledge and household names. And so what they have done, and what we would say their approach is to go hard after these gangs and so hard that they have branded a group of music fans as a gang. The bottom line is, you know, they've been so zealous in their law enforcement activity that they sort of keep going past the line and then far across the line until they're way out at the point where they're just dealing with music fans.
So interesting. Well, one Juggalo, Brandon Bradley, is a plaintiff in this case, and I want to take a listen to what he said yesterday at a press conference.
I'm a peaceful person, and I try to live my life right. So I would have never imagined being in a situation where I could be listed as a violent gang member just because of a t-shirt. 3 times police have stopped me on the street and asked me questions about my shirt, my tattoos, and what being a Juggalo meant. The police kept saying that my tattoos and shirt meant I was a gang member, even though I told them I was just a music fan and that Juggalos weren't a gang.
Other than the police interrogation, you know, that Brandon was describing just there, what have been some other consequences of this gang designation for Juggalos?
Well, you know, when Psychopathic Records had put out the word and asked people what sort of challenges they were facing, they got responses from people all over the country. And these responses would come in about problems that people faced in terms of their parental rights, in terms of their jobs, in terms of things that they faced and being hassled on the street, like Brandon said. But, I mean, Violent J yesterday mentioned a number of those things that people will be harassed in terms of their employment or in terms of their other relationships in life, everything from parental custody to walking down the street.
Well, during the press conference, members of the Insane Clown Posse said that while it was legal to listen to their music, the FBI was criminalizing the expression of their fandom. What do they mean by that? Well,
the only way to really identify what a Juggalo is or who a Juggalo is by their being a fan of ICP's music, by their belief in the Juggalo philosophy of tolerance and acceptance that's expressed through that music. So when you come down to it, and for example, if you just look in the 2011 National Gang Threat Assessment that the FBI and the DOJ wrote, the only way to identify somebody essentially as a Juggalo is that they are a fan of the Insane Clown Posse. Well, if that's the case, then, you know, as soon as someone walks down the street with Juggalo tattoos, Juggalo memorabilia, anything that identifies them simply as a music fan, they become a target as if that was some kind of gang apparel.
Well, let's broaden this a little bit, because let's just say you're not a juggalo, you're not a fan of this group. Well, I'm not saying you personally are not, you could be. Why should this lawsuit matter to all Americans? Why should they be concerned about this?
Well, here at this law firm, I can tell you that we're a very mainstream corporate law firm. And yet, when we heard about the opportunity to help work with these juggalos and stand up for their rights, we were flat out excited to do it. And the reason is, and it's one of the things that Violent J also mentioned in some of his comments yesterday, is that they're really fighting for all of us. I mean, we all want to choose our own friends. We want to choose what we talk about in public. We want to choose the music that we listen to. We want to choose political affiliations. We want to choose how we deal with the issues that are important to us in life. And that's all the juggalos are standing up for. So here at this firm, I mean, we recognize as mainstream and corporate as a firm might be, that these are the things that matter to all of us. And so we were happy to get involved, and I think that's how it impacts everybody across the country. I mean, folks across the country value these very same rights, and so these are ones that we all should be excited to stand up for. And I would say that the juggalos are even standing up for those very same rights of the FBI officers out there, too. I mean, they're ones that are important to each of us.
It sure does have much more, I should say, broader implications. Are there any other instances that you know of in which people are targeted or designated as members of a gang by law enforcement for their consumer choices, or is this unique?
Well, I suppose the way that I would answer that is to say that I think that the Department of Justice or the FBI may have an interest in looking at some sorts of groups that are organized around things like gangster rap sometimes and other material like that. But I think this is a developing area, and it's probably too soon to tell whether or not that's really something where people have been targeted based on their say, music choice.
Sure. And from what you know, I mean, has a lawsuit ever prompted the FBI to remove a gang designation?
Well, no, I mean, these gang designations are relatively novel, and the National Gang Intelligence Center itself is quite new. Just brought together in 2006 after some action by Congress in 2005. So there really hasn't been a lawsuit like this. This will be the first time. But we think that in terms of other cases and other areas that are very similar to this, that we at least have some very strong ground to go on.
Well, it seems that plaintiffs certainly have a very strong case, but that's all we have time for. Saura Sahu, cooperating counsel at ACLU Michigan and partner at Miller Canfield. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Ameera. Appreciate it.